And if you're looking for a reason why the Knicks can make a playoff run, it's because of what they can do in clutch situations. I know you saw Hart and Towns finishing those plays, but it was Brunson who orchestrated it all. And defensively, they were able to get stops on Jason Tatum down the stretch. The Knicks can look you squarely in the eye and say, we can beat the Celtics. They are now 3-1 against them this season.
The New York Knicks have a plus 11.6 net rating in the fourth quarter. That's the highest mark by any NBA team over the last 20 years. The team everyone calls soft is statistically the best closing team of the modern NBA era.
8 seconds to go. Brunson drives, pulls back, three-pointer. Bang! Bang! Jalen Brunson knocks it down! And the Knicks take the lead with 4.4 remaining.
And somehow, nobody's really talking about it. Because every time the Knicks come up on a podcast or in the NBA media, you hear the same tired stuff. Regular season team, Brunson's too small, Cat makes too many mistakes, and they'll get figured out in May. That take might be about to age like milk, and there's one number that flips this entire conversation. And once you see it, it gets really hard to keep doubting these guys. Last May, the Knicks looked exhausted, out of gas and out of answers. 11 months later, they're a different team with a different coach and a deeper bench. And somehow, the league is still treating them like the same group that lost to Indiana in the conference finals. Yeah, I know, they can be inconsistent. They can look like one of the best teams in the league one night and a dysfunctional mess the next. But they've already shown what their ceiling looks like, and it's as high as anybody's in the East. This isn't a Homer rant. This is a film and numbers breakdown of why the team everyone keeps writing off is built for exactly the kind of basketball the playoffs demand. Their flaws? Obvious, easy to point out. Your best player is undersized and not exactly a defensive stopper. The offense, even with a top 3 rating in the NBA, can stall at the worst possible moments. The shooting disappears some nights, and the starting group has a bad habit of digging early holes. But on the other side of that, since the turn of 2026, their defense has quietly been among the best in the league. They've got 2 elite offensive creators, and Brunson has already proven he can scale up in the postseason. And maybe most importantly, they know how to win ugly. Then there's the part almost nobody talks about, just how dominant they've been when the game actually matters most, the fourth quarter. And the Knicks have been dominant in fourth quarters in ways that are hard to ignore. They rank 7th in fourth quarter offense, 1st in fourth quarter defense, 1st overall in fourth quarter net rating at a ridiculous plus 11.6. And it doesn't stop there. When the game tightens up, they control the glass too. 4th in offensive rebounding percentage, 2nd in defensive rebounding percentage, and 1st overall in total rebounding in the fourth quarter. That's their identity. Zoom in even further into what the NBA defines as clutch minutes, and it holds up. Since that embarrassing home loss to Dallas on January 19th, the Knicks have been top 10 in offensive rating at 7th, top 5 in net rating at 4th, while playing the 6th most clutch minutes in the league. They protect the ball better than anybody, posting the lowest turnover percentage in those moments, and they still rank 5th in rebounding percentage. So, to sum it up, they score like the best teams in the league, they defend better than anybody, they dominate the glass, they limit second chances, and they keep their own turnovers low, and they execute when it matters most.
Brunson, the jumper from Towns!
If that's not the recipe for winning close games in the crunch time, I genuinely don't know what is. Yeah, part of that comes from the heliocentric, slow it down offense they lean on late, but it works, and we've seen it show up over and over. The 112-106 clutch win over Boston, the fourth quarter push against Cleveland on Christmas, the comeback against Houston, the back-to-back rallies against Boston last year, grinding out close wins against Detroit in the first round. This group has been there, done that over and over. Outside of Game 1 in the conference finals last year, they've consistently shown they can execute when everything slows down and every possession matters. Now sure, regular season clutch numbers don't always translate perfectly to the playoffs, but this is the kind of profile you want heading into May. It'd help if they didn't dig themselves into early holes so often, because living off fourth quarter runs isn't exactly sustainable. But as its core strength, this might be the thing that defines them in the postseason. And the wins are backing it up. On April 9th, the Knicks picked up their 52nd win of the season, beating Boston 112-106 at Madison Square Garden. It was a milestone night for Mike Brown. In his first season, he broke Pat Riley's franchise record for most wins by a first-year Knicks head coach, and then pushed past the 51-win mark Tom Thibodeau set last season. Tibbs' best year in New York, Brown just cleared it in year one. There was real hesitation when the Knicks moved on from Thibodeau. You don't just replace a coach who took you to the conference finals and expect things to instantly get better. But at least in the regular season, it's starting to look like Leon Rose made the right call bringing in Brown. Before that record-breaking win over Boston, Brown was asked if he even knew he was about to pass Tibbs' 51-win mark, and his answer kind of says everything about his approach. He brushed it off, said he hadn't really thought about it. His focus was seeding, the playoffs, the bigger picture. He's being consistent about that mindset. He's not trying to replace Thibodeau, not trying to imitate him, just trying to get the most out of his group in his own way. And make no mistake, this was a gamble. Firing a successful coach after your best season in decades isn't normal. The Knicks weren't fixing something broken. They were trying to raise their ceiling. That's exactly what this hire was about. Under Thibodeau, the Knicks became relevant again, tough and disciplined, predictable in both good and bad ways. There was structure, but there was also a sense that this version of the team had a hard limit. Brown represents the opposite bet. Higher highs, lower lows, more variability, but also more upside. One season into his tenure, that's exactly what we're seeing. The inconsistency is still there, but so is a version of this team that looks like he can go toe-to-toe with anybody. A big part of that comes down to how Brown operates behind the scenes. This isn't a one-voice operation, it's collaborative. He leans on assistants, he delegates, he lets offensive and defensive coordinators take over in huddles, depending on the situation. Sometimes, it's not even his voice players hear in the biggest moments, and that's a massive shift from Tibbs' style, where control was tighter and input was centralized. On paper, that kind of approach can go sideways. Too many voices, mixed messages, players tuning things out. But so far, Brown has found the balance. He knows when to step in and when to step back. And more importantly, the players have bought in. As Josh Hart put it, sometimes it helps to hear different voices, as long as there's structure behind it. Right now, that's what the Knicks have. A team where everyone feels involved, where adjustments come from multiple angles, where the coaching philosophy actually reflects the kind of adaptability you need in the playoffs. Because that's what this was all about. Not just being good again, becoming something more. And regardless of where you land on the coaching change, it shouldn't distract from what's actually happening on the court. Because in a lot of ways, this team has objectively improved from last year. The biggest difference shows up where it matters most, against good teams. Last season, New York went a brutal 12-22 against teams above 500. This season, that number's jumped to 29-22. That's a completely different profile, and it matters, because once the playoffs start, there are no weak opponents left. Every team you face is a winning team. So carrying that kind of track record into the postseason, that's one of the clearest arguments in favor of what Brown has brought to this group. The Knicks are locked into the number 3 seed after taking care of business against Toronto and getting some help from Atlanta knocking off Cleveland. That sets up an interesting playoff picture. Quick word from the sponsor of today's video, Prize Picks, and the timing could not be better because the NBA playoffs are about to kick off. Prize Picks is America's #1 sports pick app, and honestly, the easiest way to win a little extra cash while you're already locked into playoff basketball. Here's the deal. It's stupid simple. You pick more or less on a few players' stats. Lock in your lineup, done. No spreads, no math, no engineering degree required. And if you're new, use code HMA, play your first $5 lineup, and they'll drop $50 in lineups into your account, links pinned in the description. This week I'm running a juicy 3-pick power play. We've got Jokic, more on assists, Şengün, less on assists plus rebounds combined, and LeBron, more on rebounds. Prize Picks is available in most states, including California, Texas, and Florida. So if you want to get in on the playoff action, head to the link in the description, sign up with the code HMA, drop a $5 lineup, and Prize Picks will give you $50 in lineups to play with. Let's eat. New York opens the playoffs with home court advantage against Atlanta. But the real impact of holding on to that number 3 seed comes in the second round. That's where things shift from favorable to complicated. Because instead of seeing a team like Detroit you're potentially staring down Boston. With the top of the East getting healthy at the right time, there's no easy path, it's pick your poison. But when it comes to the Boston matchup, the surface level take is obvious. The Knicks haven't seen them at full strength. Tatum missed the first 3 meetings and Brown sat out the last one. Fair enough, but here's the part people overlook. The Knicks match up with Boston better than most teams do. They've already beaten them 3 times this season. They've got the wing defenders to throw bodies at Tatum and Brown. Inside, they can create real problems. Add in the confidence from last year's playoff battle, and this isn't a team that's going to walk into that series intimidated. It's not just the usual suspects anymore. Everyone knows about Wingstop, the duo of OG Anunoby and Mikal Bridges, locking up on the perimeter. But lately, Josh Hart has forced his way into that conversation. Brown has been throwing him onto bigger, ball-dominant wings late in games, and Hart's responded every single time. He made life miserable for Tatum down the stretch in the Boston win. He took on Jalen Brunson against Atlanta and forced key turnovers. He even got a crucial stop on red-hot Nickeil Alexander-Walker. Earlier in March, when Brandon Ingram was cooking New York for 3 quarters, it was Hart who flipped that matchup and slowed him down to spark a comeback. That's been one of the Knicks' biggest issues all year. Inconsistent point-of-attack defense. Hart changes that. His physicality at the front of the defense lets Anunoby and Bridges do what they do best: switch, roam, disrupt, and create chaos. And when Hart pairs that defense with shot making, that's when things get really dangerous. Teams still sag off him, daring him to shoot, but he's been making them pay, knocking down over 41% from 3 and swinging games with timely buckets like that second half surge against Boston. The energy, the rebounding, the hustle, that's always there. But when the defense ramps up and the shot is falling, that's when the Knicks start to look like a real contender. And Hart isn't the only X factor coming up big. Mitchell Robinson has quietly become one of the most important pieces on this roster, and he's doing it in a bench role. The minutes are managed, the workload is controlled, but when he's out there, he's a problem, specifically on the offensive glass. Robinson attacks the boards like the ball belongs to him, and those extra possessions are gold in a playoff series where every trip matters. A missed Brunson floater turns into a putback, a broken play turns into a kick-out 3. That's the kind of stuff that quietly flips a tight game. Against a team like Boston, taking away the defensive rebounds and generating second chances is exactly how you tilt the margins. Robinson doesn't need to score 15 a night. He needs to give the Knicks 4 or 5 extra possessions a game, bring physicality, and protect the rim when Brown stretches him into bigger minutes. If he can do that, New York has another weapon nobody else in the East can match. So with the defense starting to stabilize, the real question becomes this: what happens to New York's main engine on the other end? Because for all the defensive identity they're building, the offensive partnership between Jalen Brunson and Karl-Anthony Towns hasn't consistently reached that elite level over a long stretch, but it might finally be clicking. Over the final days of the regular season, Brunson and Towns started to look like the version of this duo the Knicks envisioned all along. You saw flashes in Atlanta on April 6. You saw it again against Boston on April 9. They followed it up by running Toronto off the floor the very next night. Late in the Celtics game, 5 minutes left, tight score. Brunson found Towns on the back-to-back possessions, a dunk and a 3. That's the blueprint. That's the version of this offense New York thought it was getting when they made the move for Towns. For most of the year, it felt clunky and disjointed. The narrative became simple. These two don't quite fit. But if these last few games are any indication, that narrative might be flipping at the perfect time. Brown pointed to the details. Brunson's movement without the ball, his ability to change direction, create angles, stay unpredictable. Pair that with the big like Towns who can shoot, handle and pass, and now defenses actually have to think. Once defenses start thinking, they start making mistakes. Towns himself kept it even simpler. It's communication. Conversations before games that are now showing up in the biggest moments. Trust, timing and feel. And it's showing up when it matters most, late in games, under pressure. If that connection holds in the playoffs, this team changes completely. Because now you're not just dealing with a tough, defensive, grinded out Knicks team, you're dealing with a team that can actually generate elite offense when it needs to. So next time you hear somebody write the Knicks off, remember the receipts. Top 5 net rating, the best closing team of the modern NBA era, a deep rotation that actually has legs in April, a star guard in Brunson who's built for the postseason. So what do you think? Have the Knicks shown enough to call them real contenders in the East, or are you still not buying it? Drop your takes in the comments. I want to hear where you stand on this. And if you enjoyed this video, hit the like and hype buttons, subscribe for more videos like this one, and check out one of these on your screen now.